Hey everyone, how you doing? Okay, so I'm going to be completely transparent here. I never gave PVZ Adventures a proper video. Yes, I did review the game last year, but I never really gave it a proper chance to defend itself, because the game itself is actually really interesting for many reasons, and I never really touched on it in that video, so for today's video, I kind of just want to talk about PVZ Adventures. So let's talk about it. One of the biggest things about PVZ Adventures that still perplexes me to this day is how it managed to get on the Facebook gaming place, or whatever it was called. How a follow-up to the absolute banger that was PVZ at the time managed to get on that service is a mystery to me. Competing with Farmville. Why? It's one of the weirdest things that came out of the Plants vs. Zombies franchise, even to this day, and I don't know how it happened, but it's very interesting nonetheless because it was their first attempt at a live service game, and it went horribly. We'll talk about that later. For the time being though, I think the very idea of PVZ Adventures was really interesting. Even just the presentation, an isometric camera angle. We have never gotten that since. It's genuinely really interesting to look at, and the art style is also very cool. It's chibi, but in a very different way. Like, everybody has these exaggerated head sizes, and they look cutesy, but there's definitely detail there. It's weird, but I love it. Now, admittedly for the game itself, there was not much going on. PVZ Adventures is similar to Plants vs. Zombies, at least in the tower defense aspect, but it was a bit more of a traditional tower defense game, where you would place towers in various spots, and the zombies would just walk across a path. It worked for the game, but only because the game was built around it. And for a few people, I have looked into this, it did kind of kill the joy of what made Plants vs. Zombies special to begin with. So yeah, it did admittedly stray a little bit off course from what Plants vs. Zombies was at the time. And even nowadays, this is completely different from every other tower defense game we've gotten. Even the original PVZ3 beta was a little bit closer to what we would expect. So it interests me how this game was never really considered a true Plants vs. Zombies game, at least not in the tower defense way. As BFN is a black sheep to the shooter games, Adventures is a black sheep to the tower defense titles. It just makes sense. And I think some of the plants and zombies that were added in this game definitely don't help with that. We got some really weird additions this time around. Pea Shooter is a perfect example of this, harkening off of the concept art for Pea Shooter, but it just looks weird now. Like, I can't place why, it's just odd. Same with Sweet Pea, but I do really like Sweet Pea's design, so I'll let it pass. And then we got some weird additions, like popped corn, or whatever it was called. Why is this a thing? Now, here is the more interesting part about PVZ Adventures to me. There was almost nothing going on beyond the first 3 months that it was getting supported, because by the time the third month came around, PVZ2 came out. And guess what happened? PopCap shifted all of their focus onto that game. And you could tell, a lot of what happened in PVZ Adventures kind of just stayed in Adventures, and PVZ2 just got completely different and new and original content. But I think it's interesting to note that PVZ Adventures still brought back certain zombies and plants and stuff that PVZ2 didn't do for years. As a good example, All-Star. All-Star was first added in modern day in PVZ2, which was around 2015 to 2016. Adventures had it in 2013. That's pretty cool. But overall, I think PVZ Adventures is just a fascinating game. We could sit here and talk about the extra game modes and everything else that the game had, like a whole entire town, but I've already talked about a lot of this in my review for the game. And yet, there's still more to talk about, because I didn't actually touch on what the fans are doing about this project now. Yes, I do want to talk about Road Trip a little bit more. In fact, I want to make a whole video on it in the future whenever it fully releases, because it is fascinating to me. Okay, so get this. Road Trip is basically the idea of, what if PVZ Adventures kept getting updated? Well, we have an answer for that, because holy crap, this fan game is loaded. It is genuinely incredible to watch this progress happening. Like, I've kept my eye on this project for well over a year now, and it's just gotten so big. I cannot wait for this to fully release. I'm super excited for it. But okay, I think I've done enough yapping. Sorry about that. PVZ Adventures is just really interesting to me. If you guys are new around here and like what you saw, maybe subscribe. You don't have to. I do PVZ videos. Also, big shoutouts to my Extra Y-Side channel members, those being Dan B, Nicholas Vankoski, Sleepy, Song, and Wapfa. And alongside my normal channel member, thank you all so much for supporting my content the way you do. I really appreciate it. I don't think I've been this clear and concise on an unscripted video for a very long time, so I'm gonna go script an actual video now. Peace.